Good morning, everyone. This is Natalie. Just as a reminder, the board members and chair will keep their videos on at all time, and any presenters we have will turn their video on when they're presenting, and when they're done speaking and answering questions, they can turn their video off. Please make sure that you're on mute unless you're speaking. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you. Yes, sir.
I'm trying to look at my screen here to make sure I can see my notes. I'm going to try to do this. Oh, do you still see me and not
Yes.
see any board notes? Okay, perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm going to try to become more electronically.
Cox, can you hear me? Natalie, can you hear me?
Member Gaines, yes, I can hear you. Member Cox, when you speak, you're going to have to remember to unmute. Tap your screen and hit the little microphone.
The microphone will pop up when we tap the screen. That's what I'm trying to figure.
Yes.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Hey, Member Gaines, have you had your breakfast yet?
Just finished it.
Okay, good.
Got the Ditch Diggers golf outing later today.
Yeah, it's going to be October 5th.
And we got one today. It's the utility contractors golf outing.
Oh, you got one today?
Yeah. So I said the Ditch Diggers outing, but it's really the utility contractors outing.
Nice.
All right, I'll go back to mute here.
I believe we're just waiting on members Carol and Rosen to join.
Hey, Natalie, if when we want to follow along in our book, how do we jump back and forth between that and the video? Will it do it automatically? It won't do it automatically.
If I am correct, and Ebony, I believe you're on and you have an iPad, you can help me. I believe you can pull up your materials and we can still see you on video. So I believe if you bring your materials up on your iPad, you can follow along with those and we can still see you. I do know other members are using other devices to pull their materials up on.
I think that's what I'll do. Just use my regular personal computer and just follow there.
Yes, I think that'll be the easiest way to do it, because once you get out of looking at the meeting, it's kind of difficult to toggle back and forth.
Right. Okay, that's what I'll do then. Thank you.
Hey, Natalie, Jim Forrest, could you resend me the board materials? For some reason, I keep tapping on the PDF, but it will not open. I don't know what's wrong with it, so.
Absolutely, I'll send it right now.
Thanks.
Okay, good morning. It's 9 o'clock. My name is Sean Powell, and I'll be chairing the MDTA board meeting this morning. I hereby call the meeting of the MDTA board to order at 9 a.m. Due to the COVID-19 situation, this meeting is being conducted exclusively by conference call. To minimize background noise during the call, I ask that everyone on the line please mute your phones except when speaking. For members of the public who've joined us today, we invite you to listen in, but ask that you please refrain from disrupting the meeting. If members of the public pre-register to comment on a specific agenda item, I will provide you an opportunity to comment after the agenda item is presented. We appreciate everyone's patience and ask that you hold any comments until the designated time. Please note that beginning next month, we will be live streaming our meetings. We encourage you to watch a live stream of the meeting. The link to join the live stream will be embedded in the MDTA board meeting page where you currently find the meeting agendas. If you wish to comment on an agenda item during the live stream meeting, it will be mandatory that you pre-register because of some technical challenges associated with live streaming virtual meetings. Our board secretary, Natalie Henson, will now take the roll call for today's meeting. Natalie?
Good morning. Sorry, I was having technical difficulties. In order to ensure we have a quorum of board members on the line, we will now take a roll call and ask that each member acknowledge their presence on the line when I say their name. Member Von Paris.
Present.
Member Cox.
Present.
Member Enzer. Tap your screen and hit your microphone.
Present.
Present.
Member Gaines.
Present.
Member Gangemi.
Present.
Member Carroll. Member Rosen.
Present.
Member Penny Ardinger.
Present.
Thank you. I will now take a roll call of MDTA staff. other state employees, and our partners and consultants that are on the line. Jim Ports,
Present.
Mary O'Keefe,
Present.
Kim Millender,
Present.
Ebony Moore,
Present.
Deb Sharpless,
Present.
John O'Neill.
John is currently having difficulties.
Okay, thank you. Colonel Kevin Anderson, Kelly Bellum,
Present.
John Sales,
Present.
Will Pines,
Present.
Amber Harvey,
Present.
Chantel Green,
Present.
Christina Thompson,
Present.
Ken Montgomery,
Present.
Alan Garman,
Present.
Jeffrey Brown,
Present.
Mike Rice,
Present.
Jeannie Marriott,
Present.
David Goldsboro,
Present.
Valencia Hainsworth,
Present.
Alexius Wilson, Normitha Goodrum,
Present.
Linnea Green,
Present.
Chris Thompson,
Present.
Janine Steffi,
Present.
Elizabeth Sogard.
Present.
If I missed any other MDTA staff or state employees, can you please identify yourself?
April.
Natalie Kevin Anderson for.
I'm sorry. I had April King,
Yes, ma'am.
and who was the other?
Ryan.
Brad. And Donna DeSerbo, I believe I missed you as well.
Yes, I'm here.
Are there any other MDTA employees on the line?
James Harkness.
Natalie,
Yeah, John,
Natalie's
is that?
John O'Neill. I
Okay.
have finally joined. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Any other state employees?
Natalie Kevin Anderson's the one I was on mute.
Thank you.
So Shamika Mitra?
as well, Natalie.
Okay, I had Susmitra. Who was speaking when Susmitra was speaking?
Board Member Carroll.
I remember Carol, welcome. Are there any other MDTA employees that I've missed?
James Harkness.
Yes, I have you, Jim.
James Krasinski.
Okay. I would now like to ask any members of the public or media who are on the line to please identify yourself.
Good morning, it's Delegate Al Carr.
Good morning, delegate. Any other members of the public? I have heard a few beeps come in. Is there anyone who joined who has not said their name for roll call?
This is Jacqueline Jomo from the Division of Planning at MDTA.
Thank you. Any others?
This is Ganapati Badireddy with CDM Smith. We are the TR consultant for MDTA.
Thank you.
Eric Willison.
At this time, I have no members of the public registered to comment, and the roll call has been completed. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. As always, a fantastic job. Before I start, I do want to pass along that Secretary Slater sends his regrets. As you know, you have me pinch hitting for him today. He hopes to be back on the board next month. And with that said, we'll move right into the agenda. To avoid any confusion during the meeting, we ask that each person speaking today please speak clearly and identify themselves before speaking so we can keep an accurate record for our minutes. Also, as a reminder, to avoid background noise, please mute your phone if you're not speaking. We will now start with today's first agenda item, and the first agenda item is the approval of the open session meeting minutes of August the 27th.
So moved.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Make a motion to approve.
Okay, a motion from Member Cox
Mario will second.
and Member Gangemi is a second. Are there any opposed to the approval of the minutes? Hearing none. Madam Secretary, please record that the minutes have been approved. The next item on the agenda is a toll modernization, the toll modernization changes to effective dates. And this will be Ms. Deb Sharpless. And this is an approval item, so we will have an approval action after her presentation.
Good morning. For the record, my name is Deb Sharpless, Chief Financial Officer for the Maryland Transportation Authority. This agenda item is to request the moving the effective date for elements of the toll modernization plan that you had previously approved. The plan included 3 aspects. The first one was pay by plate. That is where customers or infrequent customers can have this payment option where they just register their license plate and form a payment, a credit card, and the toll rate is the cash rate. And for the ICC and the ETLs, the toll rate is 20% less. I'm sorry, 25% less than the Easy Pass rate and 20% less than the video toll rate. Second element was the video toll early payment discount. This is where customers receive a 15% discount up to $5 if they proactively go online and pay their video tolls prior to mailing an invoice. And the last element was the vehicle classification. This is where 2 classifications were created and a third one was modified. The 2 that were created was what we were calling the 3 and 4 axle light, and tolls were reduced for these classifications. And the motorcycle classification, the toll was reduced. And so I'm requesting the approval to change the effective date for the pay by plate option and the early video toll discount payment to align with our transition date of 3G. And that the vehicle classification change would go in effect the first day of the month following 90 days from a transition. So what I mean by that is if we transitioned on the 15th of the month, then we would transition the first, that would be 4 months. So I don't know, if it was December, then, and we transitioned December 15th, we would bring into effect the classification change on April 1st. We just thought the starting change like that would be easier to communicate and account for on the 1st of the month. So this change to align with 3G, we have moved our transition. Originally, we were planning on transitioning late September. As we were going through testing, there were a few things that we just wanted stronger performance and made a decision to delay the transition on the back office side. On the CAP side, the road side, you know, we're just tying up loose ends at this point in time. But in order to implement the pay by plate and the early discount, we need to transition our back office first. So with that, if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Okay, and I see no questions from the board. With that, I will entertain a motion to approve Ms. Sharpless's report.
So moved.
So moved.
Rosen.
Okay, Member Rosen, and there was a second by Member Gaines. I'll do a roll call vote for the secretary. Member Von Paris?
I approve.
Member Cox?
Aye.
Member Enzer?
Aye.
Member Gaines?
Aye.
Member Gangemi?
Aye.
Member Carroll?
Aye.
Member Rosen?
Aye.
Member Ardinger?
Aye.
All right, Madam Secretary, we have a unanimous vote, so please record. Thank you, Next up on the agenda is an operating budget comparison, the review of actual versus projected FY20 operating budget spending, and Mr. Jeffrey Brown is up.
Good morning, board. I know you can hear me. I don't see my video up there. It looks like I'm here now. Good morning, all. Good morning, members of the board. This is probably the first time many of you have seen me. My name is Jeffrey Brown. I'm the new budget director of the MDTA, and I'm here to take you through the full year 2020 operating budget performance. As of June 30th in 2020, we spent 88% of the budget, which equates to a $39.4 million savings or a reduction to budget. Except for two objects, which were communications and fixed charges, all other objects were below the targeted spending level of 5%, of more than 5%. There are typically three main drivers for this performance. The first is COVID-19, that resulted in a lot of reduced activity, deferral of expenses, and reduction of traffic. Second was operational efficiencies that were enacted that helped reduce expenditures. And the third was the mild winter weather, which resulted in some reduced expenses as well. So all three of these activities combined to reduce or defer our expenditures for the year. Starting with objects 1 and 2, salaries and benefits, we realized $12.9 million in reductions. Primarily, this was due to the hiring freeze that was enacted due to COVID-19. Object 3, communications, this is one of the two that was over budget. The Department of Budget and to the tune of about 1.4 million, I'm sorry. The Department of Budget and Management began invoicing the MDTA for the statewide radio system. We were notified of this, but not until after the budget was finalized. Object 4, travel expenses were down by $220,000. Again, COVID-19 was primarily responsible as we deferred travel or limited travel for the year. Object 6, fuel and utilities were down by $932,000. That was mainly due to some operational efficiencies that were enacted. First, we installed some LED roadway lighting. In addition, we removed other lighting due to increased sign reflectivity. And the third was the installation of more efficient tunnel fans. Object 7, motor vehicles were down by 1.8 million. Again, primarily COVID-19 and the mild winter impacted that as we deferred expenses and held off buying new vehicles. Contractual services, or Object 18, were reduced by 20.3 million. There's some major sub-object variances responsible for that. The first is Easy Pass Service Center costs reduced by about 6.6 million. This was driven by switching to a new vendor. Number one, also we went to cashless tolling due to COVID-19, which reduced expenditures, and lower traffic volume due to COVID-19 as well. Building and repairs were down by about 4.2 million. On-call contractor services were utilized for the all electronic tolling conversion related work. All that work, as well as other capital work, reduced the availability for smaller expense type repairs, so that reduced expenses. There was a $3 million savings realized in advertising. There were some prior year accruals estimated that did not materialize for this. Fiscal services were down 1.4 million. This was driven by the lower credit card reciprocity due to COVID-19, so traffic was down. And then there was numerous other sub-objects, basically 841 through 869, for management IT-related contractual services, and they were underspent by 2.8 million. We just had less consultant usage. There were some changes in the contracts, and there were less licenses than anticipated, and we held off on some new tasks due to COVID-19 as well. So that drove most of the performance for that. Object 9, supplies and materials, were below budget by 3.4 million. Again, there's several sub-objects responsible, salt being one of them for 1.7 million. Not surprising, a mild winter reduced the usage of that. Roadway maintenance was down by 300,000. Some of that was due to COVID-19, where we reduced operational staffing and had half staffing. In addition, some operational efficiencies. There was use of recycled bituminous pavement material instead of the more expensive crushed stone. and there was work on the Bay Bridge overlay project that precluded work on other expense type projects. Finally, uniforms were down $294,000. This is due to delays in uniforms from the Maryland Correction Enterprises and from the police uniform contractor. In addition, we used fewer uniforms due to cashless tolling. Finally, the two objects, Object 10 and 11, replacement equipment and additional equipment combined for 1.5 million savings. That was, again, primarily due to COVID-19, delay in a lot of spending or deferral of spendings over the year. Finally, the last object, fixed objects, this was over budget, $232,000. This was primarily due to the TIFIA loan process. The Build America Bureau required an upfront payment, which was not budgeted for. It was not anticipated. So that concludes my summary. I'm glad to take any questions if there are any at this time.
Yeah, I've got a question.
Sure.
Small item. I mean, I don't really, I'm sure I buy that bituminous paving materials are cheaper than crushed stone. Not in the world I've lived in for 60 years. So I don't know who told you that, but unless they're paying too much for the stone, I don't know.
Yeah, I'd have to get back to you. That was, I
understand that's not your area of expertise. I just wanted for the record.
Okay, I will note.
How much of these savings we expect to carry into the current fiscal year? I guess right now it should be somewhat similar, I guess.
Yeah, I couldn't give you a definitive answer to your point. What you just said, obviously some of this, we haven't ramped up completely with hiring and doing, business as normal. So I would expect some of that to carry over. How much, I couldn't say at this point, obviously.
Member Gaines, this is Deb Sharpless. So there are some savings. I myself also don't have the exact dollar amount. We are working, we're in fiscal year 21, but we are still looking at that budget and maybe making some revisions to it. And we'll be able to report that out to you, around the November time period when we present our financial forecast.
I guess at some point we're going to be going back, bringing everybody back into the office, I guess, with the schools starting to open up. I mean, we can't exactly hide in our houses forever. So anyhow, for now, I guess we're benefiting from a little bit of savings from this, I guess.
Member Gaines.
Are you going to give? Yes.
Pardon me. This is Will Pines, Chief Engineer for MDTA.
Oh, good, Will.
Hey, good. How are you? On the bituminous concrete versus the stone discussion, I just wanted to clarify that that's indicating the intent of that comment is referring to how we are able to utilize recycled bituminous material when we do the removal. We've developed some good procedures and specifications for recycling existing materials and reusing them in lieu of stone and graded aggregate base.
We're not recycling ourselves, I guess, but it's a lower price when we buy it, I guess. Right?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Brown? Hearing none, Mr. Brown, thank you. Welcome. It's a great presentation. We look forward to hearing you in the coming months and years. I just want to thank you. I just want to go back. First of all, Deb, thank you for the previous presentation. I forgot to thank you. And I want to welcome Delegate Carr to the call. I'm sorry, I forgot to welcome you earlier. So welcome back, sir. Okay, on to the next item. It's our last approval item of the day. Be presented by Mr. Will Pines, a capital budget increase amendment. It's a retroactive approval to increase the FY20 capital budget. So, Mr. Pines, you're now up.
Okay, good morning, Chair and members of the board. Again, for the record, my name is Will Pines. I'm Chief Engineer for Maryland Transportation Authority. This item is to seek the retroactive approval to increase the FY20 budget by 3.3% to make adjustments for projects completing construction faster than planned. This item was presented in detail at the September Capital and Finance Committee meetings. The FY20 budget closed at 15 million, or 3.3% higher than the amended forecast that we provided in May. There are two primary major projects that expended faster than planned from our May update due to work going faster than planned. There are no planned changes to the total budgets for these two projects. And the two projects specifically are the 895 Bridge project and the Nice Middleton Bridge replacement project. At a high level, the Nice Middleton Bridge replacement project received environmental permits faster than we had planned, which allowed construction to commence earlier than planned. And on the I-895 Bridge project, the contractor has been working really hard to recover some of their schedule. And this was discussed in detail at the two committee meetings, and so I'll spare you the longer background on repeating all of that information. Unless anybody has any specific questions, I'd be happy to redo that rundown if there are any specific questions, which I'm happy to take at this time.
Thank you, Will. Do we have any questions from the board members?
This is Mario. I'll move for approval, retroactive approval.
Okay, a motion by Member Gangemi. Do we have a second?
This is
I'll
Member
second.
Ardinger.
Okay, Member Ardinger, I'll take your second. Thank you. Okay, any further discussion on the item? Okay, hearing none, I'll do a quick roll call vote. Member Ardinger,
Aye.
Member Rosen,
Aye.
Member Carroll, I'll circle back. Member Gangemi,
Aye.
Member Gaines,
Aye.
Member Enzor,
Aye.
Member Cox,
Aye.
Member Von Paris,
Aye.
and Member Carroll. Were we able to? I don't think we heard your vote.
Looks like John's frozen.
Yeah, no, we have John's. Member Carroll, did you vote?
Oh, I said aye.
Okay, thank you. I didn't hear that. I appreciate that, sir. Okay, Madam Secretary, we have a unanimous vote. So thank you, Will.
Thank you.
As I said, that was our last approval item, so we have updates from here on out. The next update will be a capital budget comparison, review of actuals versus projected FY20 capital spending with Ms. Jeannie Marriott. Jeannie, you're now on.
Thank you. Good morning. I'm Jeannie Marriott, and I am the Capital Program Manager. I'm here today to update you on the actual fiscal year 20 capital spending as compared to the fiscal year 20 budget and the fiscal year 20 to 25 draft CTP. This information was presented to the Finance Committee on September 8th. The fiscal year 20 capital spending was $468.4 million, which is 18% over the fiscal year 20 draft CTP budget of $396.9 million. It is 4% over the amended budget of $450.4 million. The increase in fiscal year 20 will be offset by reductions in the 21 to 26 final CTP that will be presented to you for approval in November. 17 of the 120 projects were within the acceptable spending limits of 10% over or under the 100% target. The acceptable variation is decreased from the 25% reported for the first, second, and third quarters because all allocations, accruals, and fiscal year 20 invoices were posted. Now, if you can turn to attachment A, shown here is actual spending for 7 projects budgeted for over $9 million in fiscal year 20. The spending for that was $225 million, which is 19% over the $190 million budgeted for those 7 projects. And if you have any questions, I will be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Jeannie. Do we have any questions? Great. Well, thank you, ma'am. Next up will be a BWI credit. Pardon? Okay, next up will BWI credit rating, update on the non-recourse debt credit ratings, and Alan Garman is up. Alan, welcome.
Good morning, thank you. The purpose of this is to provide an update on two recent ratings downgrades of the PFC and parking bonds. These were non-recourse financings done by the MDTA for BWI Airport. On August 7th, the credit rating agency Standard & Poor's placed essentially the entire airport sector that consisted of 98 airport credits on credit watch negative, and that's from 63 different obligors, and that included the BWI, PFC, and parking bonds. And then following their review process, S&P downgraded both the PFC bonds and the airport parking bonds on September 2nd. And both of those credits were downgraded by one notch. So the parking bonds went down to single A minus, and the PFC bonds went to single A. The outlooks for both credits remain negative. S&P, I guess, importantly, attributed the downgrades to the activity levels at the airport, which have been driven by COVID-19. And they also noted that those effects are really outside of management's control. And I think it's interesting that they think that the outlook for travel is very unpredictable, and they think that the traffic may be depressed for some time. I think some really important points are that the non-recourse financings at BWI are secured by separate trust agreements, and those trust agreements have unique pledged revenue sources. So both of those bond issues are backed by their own unique set of pledged revenues. So in the case of the parking bonds, they're backed by parking fees exclusively at BWI Airport. And for the PFC bonds, they're backed by passenger facility charges or enplanement fees at the airport. So the bonds are not backed by MDTA's toll revenues, and there's no security interest in the revenues of MDOT or the state of Maryland. The bonds, in addition to the pledged revenues, are also supported by debt service reserves. So in the event that pledged revenues are insufficient, there are debt service reserves that can be tapped. And for both of those financings, the reserves currently exceed maximum annual debt service. For the PFC bonds, they also have additional support from an improvement account that's pledged to bondholders as well. And the balance in the improvement account currently exceeds annual debt service as well. The table on the last page of that two-page document shows highlighted in yellow the credit ratings for S&P that were recently downgraded, and you can see them in that center column. Are there any questions?
Any questions from the board? Okay, hearing none. Thank you, Alan. Always a great presentation.
Great, thank you.
Okay, next up, IT major projects update from Mr. Goldsboro.
Yes, good morning. My name is David Goldsboro. I am the Director of Information Technology for the Authority. The purpose of this presentation is just to give our quarterly update to the board on what's happening with our Division of Information Technology. As of September 24th, 2020, DoIT has an active portfolio of 19 projects. During the last quarter, we closed out 4 projects. Some of the major initiatives that we have in our pipeline right now is we are converting to the new Salesforce Lightning platform. As some of the members of the board have seen presentations that will affect applications like HR Central and our customer tracking system. That's to maintain support from the Salesforce company. We're also very active with Ivalua, which is the platform that the new eMaryland Marketplace is going to be built on or is built on. We could have several integrations with some of our key systems like Maximo, Dynamics. We also could be looking at replacing our purchasing card system with the platform that's underneath of Ivalua. Pardon me. We're also supporting the 3G rollout and we're looking at implementing an eForms platform. Some other updates that I want to give to the board. We completed the renewal of both of our consulting and technical services, also known as CATS, contracts that support the use of our contractual resources. That's a critical milestone because we do rely heavily on contractual staff to roll out and support IT projects during the course of the year. And we probably run about 40% at any given time of our staff that fall underneath of one of those types of contracts. The rest would be pinned employees or state employees. Also, in compliance with the state's requirement to have employees who are able to telework, all DO-IT staff, with the exception of our service desk and our field technicians, are on telework status right now. Certainly, as guidance develops, we will comply with staffing levels in the office when appropriate. And until that time happens, all project work will continue to support MDTA objectives. Finally, I just want to mention that we do work very closely with the Secretary's office to support the infrastructure that runs all our remote connections for employees that are on telework status. And I believe at one point our high watermark for the number of connections was about 5,000 simultaneous. So the infrastructure seems to be holding up very well. And that's my update.
Great. Thank you, Dave. David, I do have one comment on the Evaluo. I had a very long conversation with the Department of General Services and Office of State Procurement yesterday. Evaluo/Emma.
Yes.
I encourage you to circle up with your procurement team and touch base with Mike Zimmerman.
Okay.
We're putting them through some paces again, so we can try to get the integrations. You understand all the integration issues and some of the batching versus real time and near real time or whatever they want to call it over there. So we've sent them back to the drawing board on a couple of things. So yeah, I just encourage you and the procurement folks to circle up with Mike, and I'll give him a heads up that
Okay.
Either to touch base with you or you guys will touch base. So
Absolutely.
we definitely are going to need your input and help on that. So
Okay. Very good. Very good. Thank you so much.
Thanks, David. Any questions or comments for Mr. Goldsboro?
This is Member Rosen. Just one question. Do we have any active products surrounding cybersecurity, and has that been something we're looking at, or has been an issue with remote working from home? And is there anything that maybe that has to get accelerated just to make sure that we're staying safe?
Yeah, that's a great question. At this point, we do a lot of active monitoring on all the virtual connections. We've seen a couple of issues here and there, but what we have done is we have maintained compliance with all of the vendors that supply the infrastructure that runs that side of the house, that technology stack. We've been very fortunate that we have not seen any intrusion, anything at all that's been a threat to the MDOT network as a whole. It's something that actively, is monitored by my cybersecurity team in conjunction with all the other TBUs and the Secretary's office, that group, the security group there, as well as state DO-IT. Whenever there's guidance issued from state DO-IT, we comply immediately.
Thanks, Dave.
Sure.
Great. Thank you. Any other questions? Well, again, David, thank you. I know that the IT team over here and all across MDOT, it's been quite a challenge over the last several months to keep people up and online. And as you said, the 5,000 folks that are logging in, and you have to balance when do you send updates. And I will say sometimes the updates come at weird times, like in the middle of a CTP meeting, but that's okay. Luckily, I wasn't the speaker. But it's you guys have to send them out when you do, and they are going out. It seems like our laptop/network is getting updated, even though we may not feel it when we plug in or tap into through VPN. So that's not an easy task. You guys have really stepped up the entire IT department across the department. So again, thank you. Thanks for your presentation.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so next up, we will have an update from Valencia Hainsworth on civil rights fair practices, socioeconomic program status. So welcome, Ms. Hainsworth. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. This is Valencia Hainsworth. I actually don't see anyone. I'm sorry. I was trying to see if I could see anyone. I am the acting director for the Division of Civil Rights and Fair Practices, CRFP. I actually will be providing you with an update of the MDTA goal achievements for the 4 legislatively mandated social economic programs will be your MBE, BSBE, SBR, and DBE. Those programs are the programs that the Division of Civil Rights and Fair Practice have oversight. The first program is your Minority Business Enterprise Program, which is MBE. The goal achievement for that is actually 20.01%. The next program is your Veteran-Owned Small Business Enterprise, VSBE program. The goal achievement for that is 12.94%. The next program is your Small Business Reserve SBR program. The goal achievement for that program is 3.90%. The next program is your DBE program, which is the Disadvantaged Business Enterprise program. The overall goal for that contract has achieved 0.64%, and the design goal has achieved 4.04%. Any questions on the goal achievements?
Okay, I've got a question. I mean, I'm on the capital committee, and so we're looking at all these breakdowns. I see a breakdown on all the jobs for MBE, and veteran-owned is usually included in there, but I don't think I've ever seen a contract where we had 13% veteran-owned business subcontracted out. I don't know how it could be for the whole program. You sure that number's right?
I was actually told by my reports officer there was one contract that actually achieved a 44% goal achievement, which took the number over, tilt the number of the actual goal achievement up, which made it round more to a higher level because of that one contract.
Oh, I see. But it must have been a small contract, and still with the millions and millions and millions of dollars we put out, I don't know. I just question that number. And we also don't see much on any of these reporting on the contracts about the small business reserve. I think occasionally you see that on a small job. It's almost like, what I understand, almost like a set aside for small businesses. But again, I can't see that being 4% of the total contracting we do. It's just, that seems to be, the number seems to be high. I don't know, but and likewise for the disadvantaged business, I don't see it reported on. So maybe I'm wrong.
From what I'm aware of, I actually sat on the PRG as a chair, so I actually see the contracts that are being released, and those contracts also that are being awarded. The members are all the directors of all the areas. Donna DeCerbo, Will Pines, IT sits on the PRG. So we definitely make sure that all of the contracts that comes through the PRG are actually reviewed for all of these socioeconomical programs. And we try as much as possible to achieve the most available when it comes to those MBE or SBR services. I think Donna's on to speak maybe on more behalf of it.
Yep, I see Donna's there.
Yes. Yes. Hi, good morning, everyone. This is Donna DeCerbo. We do, I'm not sure what contract we're referring to, but we do have compatible, we carve out some A&E contracts at $1 or $2 million for our comprehensives and some other A&Es. So that may be what's pushing the number. We can certainly check that. But we, as a PRG group, have taken that strategy to help increase our SBR achievement. And those are high dollar contracts.
Okay. Great. I see Will is.
Yeah, I also want to add on the disadvantaged business enterprise. You'll see that low achievement number, but we only have one contract that's DBE related. That's the Nice Bridge. And I think Will Pines would back me up on this, that we have a high goal for that project. However, most of the work that's been performed so far has not needed the disadvantaged business enterprise, and those parts of the business where they would be included are coming in a little later in the project. If Will has something else to add, that'd be great.
Sure. Thanks, Jim. Just two quick points to close out the DBE discussion. Jim is right. One minor nuance on the Nice Middleton Bridge program. We actually have two contracts, one for the campus and one for the bridge. Both of those have DBE goals, and also the CMI contracts that are doing the construction inspection for that program also have their own separate DBE goals. So as Jim indicated, the program is in many ways still in its infancy, although I just reported on the great work that we were able to accomplish in FY20. Despite that, it's, we just really kicked off construction in full speed in July. So there's still a lot of DBE involvement that's going to ramp up. We also just recently, this last weekend or the weekend prior, had an outreach event and identified potential subcontracting opportunities with DBE companies. Like examples include like slip forming, concrete, and steel fastener supplies, et cetera, that were noted at the meeting for DBE subcontracting that's going to become available as the work progresses. So as Jim said, we're early. There's still a lot of time. The goal on the Nice Bridge replacement contract, the biggest DBE program that we have, is a 15% goal with a 16%. It's not really a sub goal, but it's a professional services goal for the portion of the work that's allocable to professional services. So it's kind of a mouthful, but the second point that I wanted to make on the SBR program is, these are small businesses. So keep in mind that we certainly are not setting $40-50 million contracts up that as a small business contract, right? That those types of projects inherently would render businesses to be considered not a small business anymore if they were completed. So, the quote unquote set aside that you referred to, typically you're referring to projects that are $5 million and less. And as you know from our capital committee meetings, I don't want to say those are few and far between, because we do have a reasonable number of them, but we also currently, our program is made up of pretty large projects in the Nice Middleton Bridge program and the ETL program, et cetera.
All right, so these goals really are not for the whole program, not for our whole construction program, but for certain jobs, I guess, right?
I think you can say that some of the larger jobs have a greater influence on the program goals that Valencia is reporting on. Certainly, the Nice Middleton Bridge is the best example of that with the DBE goal. But the small business goal that she reported out, there are a number of opportunities for maintenance contracts and other services that are included in that may not actually come to the capital committee for approval.
Okay.
So I have a question in regards to how these program goals are set. So I guess I have three questions. Number one is, how are the program goal percentages established? And I see it referring to the operating policy. Number two is, are they realistic? And number three is, if we don't achieve our goals, are there any repercussions or ramifications to that, compliance or otherwise?
I'll take that one, Member Rosen. So keep in mind, there's two programs. One is MBE, which is Minority Business Enterprise. And you can only have a minority business enterprise program if the state can prove disparity. And what they mean by that, so they do every 5 years, they do a study. And they look at what minorities, or if minorities have disparity with contracts. And if there is proven that there's disparity, you can have a program. The program is a goal program. It is not a mandate program. So I think that answers one of your questions. There are no penalties per se for not achieving the goal, because according to the U.S. Constitution, the MBE program can only be goal-based, not mandated. Then you have the DBE program. Now, the DBE program is a disadvantaged business enterprise, and quite frankly, it would include folks that look like you and me. Okay, it is not minority based. It is disadvantaged economically based, and it's through the federal program. So if there's $1 of federal funds in the construction project, you have to use DBE, not MBE. And the way this works is, one, the MBE or DBE companies have to be qualified. They go through actually Department of Transportation, MDOT headquarters. We do it for the entire state. And you can be MBE qualified or DBE qualified. And what they do is they have NAICS codes, what they call NAICS codes. And so, for example, your NAICS code would be in accounting, okay? Other folks' NAICS codes, they may hit marketing, accounting. There may be several that they can hit. Say for example, you have a company that does printing, screen printing, but then they also do embroidery, and they also do plaques or trophies and stuff like that, for these promotional products. So you would have NAICS codes across the board, and the federal government sets up those NAICS codes, and so does the state. And so when you go for qualification, you qualify in each one of those NAICS codes. Then when a project comes up, like the Nice Bridge, there's an evaluation done to see how many minority, or in this case, DBE companies are available for the NAICS codes that are needed for that job. And based on that information is how you come up with the percentages. So I think I got all your questions, but if I did not, please let me know, and I'll try and circle back with you. They're very complex programs, but I can assure you that they are obviously heavily regulated, but they're also have a lot of oversight, both within the state and through the federal government.
Okay. No, thanks for the education, Jim. That answers my questions.
Great. Any more questions for the team?
This is Member Ardinger. To clarify, did I understand Jim correctly that you can't be MBE and DBE? It's one or the other?
No. I didn't say that. What I said was, and maybe I should have been more clear, as a company, you can be both. But if there's federal dollars involved, you do not use the MBE program, you use the DBE program, because the federal government cannot have an MBE program because they don't have disparity. So according to the U.S. Constitution, you cannot discriminate against anyone, including people, like I said, that, let's just say white males. White males are pretty much the only ones that aren't in the MBE program, but they are allowed in the DBE program because they could also be economically disadvantaged. So again, if you have $1 worth of federal funds in a job, you have to use DBE. You cannot use MBE program. If it's state dollars only, then you use the MBE program. But as a business, you can be qualified for both.
Thank you.
Okay. Thanks. Any other questions? Okay. Hearing none. Valencia, thank you, and what a great team effort. You had Jim, Will, and Donna all pitching in. That was a great presentation. Good back and forth on that. So you guys were well prepared and great questions. Next up, we have Mr. Pines coming back for major projects updates on projects valued over 10 million or of significant public impact. So Will, you're back up.
Okay, well, good morning again. Thank you. So this presentation is, as Sean mentioned, going to provide an update on the 31 major projects that we have in the capital program. Currently, 17 of those projects are under construction. 10 of them are in procurement and 4 are under design. Of those projects, 5 million of the projects are in excess of 100 million, and 5 of the projects are within our $1.1 billion ETO northbound extension program.
Now, because I do need to report on 31 projects, I'm going to try to go through these quickly, and we'll be happy to take any questions about individual projects at the end, unless you have a pressing question. So to start with, refer to your attachment in your package. The first project in the major projects list is the Inter-County Connector. This project is open simply because of existing environmental requirements that have to be maintained for the permitting for the original construction, and so there are funds still in the program and expenses regularly on an annual basis to keep up with that monitoring and any remediation that's necessary.
Yeah, they did me the same thing, but when I was like, say go, I'm fine.
Valencia, I think you need to go on mute.
Yep, thanks, Jim. You beat me to it.
Thank you. The next project is the 3G replacing the electronic toll collection system. As Deb mentioned, the project that we're showing here is for the in-lane construction. She indicated already that that's generally complete with just some sort of closeout activities. They're actively evaluating and tracking the status of critical items as they work through the full transition of the 3G team. So I'm not going to give any more details on that because I think she already covered it earlier for the members. So the next contract is KH3005R. This is to perform deck rehabilitation and joint modifications on 3 bridges in Cecil County. The contractor for this work is Martin's Construction, and they're performing latex modified concrete overlays at all 3 locations. The work was deemed necessary because based on our annual inspection program, we found signs of failure in the existing deck surface, like cracking, and spalling, and as a result, performed a more detailed study demonstrating that the overlay was necessary. The contract is currently working through the stages to replace that overlay, and we anticipate the completion of the work in October of 2020. The next contract on the list is KH2862. This is for the pavement rehabilitation and safety improvements from the Tidings Bridge to the Maryland-Delaware state line. The contractor for this work is Alan Myers, and the purpose and need of the work is to replace the existing HMA pavement in Cecil County on I-95 in areas where it's showing fatigue in the asphalt, cracking, and rutting. The milling and pavement work is 90% complete to date, and the contractor is currently working on the pavement tie-ins to connect in the areas where pavement work is also ongoing for 2 contracts that are in the reporting on the major projects, the KH3004 and KH3005 bridge projects. So those contracts, the resurfacing on I-95 is currently being coordinated together to close out that paving in all 3. Excuse me. The next contract is KH3010. This is the I-95 northbound pavement widening from Maryland 152 to Maryland 24 and resurfacing improvements. This project was identified and is part of the I-95 ETL program. It was identified as a candidate safety improvement section in 2013 and 14. So this will bring a significant reduction in accidents in the area. We estimate upwards of 10% reduction in crashes, bringing a big overall benefit by providing this widening as part of the ETL program. Again, it's located on MD 152, but on I-95 between 152 and Maryland 24. The work includes widening I-95 to include a 5th lane, redecking the Winters Run Bridge, grinding and resurfacing of the roadway, and culvert extensions, and miscellaneous other work necessary to perform that widening. The contractor for this work is Alan Myers. They are currently in the phase 4 construction. This phase is expected to finish in October, at which point we'll switch to phase 5, and there will be split traffic conditions that will continue to commence the removal and replacement operations in lane 2 of the Winters Run Bridge.
The next contract on the list is KB 2708. This is the conversion to facilitate the full conversion to all electronic tolling at the Key Bridge facility. The current toll plaza at the Key Bridge has already been completely removed. This contract is under construction by Alan Myers. Ongoing recent accomplishments included pavement saw cutting, excavation, widening and grading, installation of under drain and inlets, reinforced concrete pipe, manholes, and other electrical work, and also overhead sign structure foundation installation. The 90-day look ahead includes excavation and continued foundation work for a few overhead signs, also installation of the underpass lighting, and continued work on drainage installation like inlets and manholes. And the final pavement and grading will commence afterwards. The next project on the list is the I-895 Bridge Replacement Project, often referred to as Canton Viaduct. This is HT 694 and includes the replacement of the Canton Viaduct Bridge and the Holabird Avenue Bridge. It also includes the rehabilitation of the Baltimore Harbor Tunnel and the approach roadways to the tunnel. The contractor for this work is Tudor Perini Corp. It was awarded in the amount of $189,380,000. All of the 895 bridge southbound superstructure and substructure are now complete. The girders are all installed. The abutments A and B are complete. Units 4 and 5 of the bridge deck are now poured and complete, and the contractor is currently working on finalizing the deck pours and units 1, 2, and 3. And so a unit on the bridge is typically 3 to 4 spans, like unit 1, for example, is spans 1 through 3. So they're finalizing those deck pours in those last 3 units. Also ongoing is the tile replacement. They're currently working in the west tube. We anticipate likely in October they will switch to doing tile replacement and retaining wall work in the east tube. This also includes retaining wall work, fire suppression line work, and various other repairs inside the tunnel. Currently, the schedule is anticipated that the 4 lanes on both bridges will be restored by January of 2020. I'm sorry, excuse me, 2021, pardon me. The next project is BB 2819, the deck rehabilitation of the westbound Bay Bridge. This is the project that in April 1st of this year completed the overlay in the right lane of the bridge, but it also includes the ongoing joint replacements in lanes 2 and 3 to extend the life of those originally installed joints. To date, of the ongoing work, the contractor has recently completed 36 of the 207 rail posts and 9 of the 22 expansion joints. Additionally, integration work is ongoing. The project includes replacing the lane use signals on the westbound bridge. Those are also showing signs of their age and have deterioration in the tube members that make up them. So they're going to be replaced. And so as part of the replacement, the lane use controls will be replaced and integrated into the existing system. The upcoming work, we anticipate receiving those new lane use control gantries in December of this year, and will begin deck sealing on the bridge in October of this year. The next project is HT 2649, the replacement of the vent fans at the Baltimore Harbor Tunnel. This includes the fan replacement themselves, damper motors, electrical feeds, lightning protection, and roof installation on the vent buildings. The contractor is Chimbro Corp, who's doing the work, and they currently are in their final 2A and 2B testing, which is scheduled to go into the performance testing actually starting this weekend. And they'll implement the fire plans during those testing to confirm that the new system is working as planned. The purpose of this is actually to replace the 32 60-year-old vent fans and convert them from the current configuration with 16 supply and 16 exhaust fans to the new configuration with 20 exhaust and 12 supply fans. With this change, the system, the performance testing is calibrating to ensure the system will achieve a 100 megawatt fire capacity. The next project is BB 3008, the Bay Bridge Crossover Automated Lane Closure System. This contract is currently ongoing by Aldridge Electric in the amount of $15.3 million. Recently, they have installed 24,780 linear feet of directionally bored conduit, and they've also been working on the necessary prep work to install the foundations for the gates and the gantry systems. This also includes installing manholes, handholds, and other to make the connections to that in-ground conduit. The upcoming work includes actually in drilling those gantry foundations and gate foundations. This project is, yes, sir.
Not to interrupt for a minute. When do you think, I see 2022, but when do you think it'll actually be in operation before everything's complete as far as the automatic crossovers?
We expect it's going to be 2022 for sure. So the way that the project will be phased out initially today, we use cones and barrels to move the contraflow operation. Initially, as part of the performance testing, which is at the very end of the contract, will transition from the gate system will be fully installed, but as part of the performance testing, we'll need to support that gate system for a period with some maintenance of traffic to condition the public to the use of the gate system. And then finally, the full implementation, it will be where, you know, the public is familiar with how that system works, and it'll fully be deployed to handle the crossovers. So our current plan is 2022 for the implementation of the system.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Okay. So the next project is MB 543 for the Nice Middleton Bridge replacement. I talked a little bit about this one earlier, but this is constructing a new 4-lane bridge on US 301 over the Potomac River to replace the existing bridge. Currently, 9.59% of the time has been used on this contract, and as I mentioned earlier, currently the contractor schedule is showing that they're ahead of schedule. SCM has continued performing dredging of the channel on the Virginia side. SCM, pardon me, is the contractor for the bridge replacement. That's Skanska, Corman, and McLean joint venture. They are also have driven 14 of the 42 indicator piles that essentially allow them to advance their design by giving them more details on how the performance during driving will actually be. And they've also likewise done 1 of 4 of the static load tests that are in contract. They're also currently working on clearing and grubbing on the Maryland side, continuing to mobilize additional cranes and barges to the site. They began casting the production piles, both the 36-inch square piles and the 66-inch cylinder piles that are used near the main span of the bridge. They have also began to install their erosion and sediment control devices on the Virginia side and also on the Maryland side. The 90-day look-ahead includes the completion of the dredging within the channel area on the Virginia side, at which point they will commence the installation of the temporary trestle for channel access from Virginia. They plan to continue casting those precast concrete piles and will plan to begin the driving of the production piles for the main channel piers and the Maryland land piers within the 90-day look-ahead. Excavation for the buildings and installation of the storm drain system will commence on the south side. That's associated with the campus. The next contract is BB 2757R. This is for the 5 kV replacement on the westbound Bay Bridge. The project involves the supply and installation of the 5 kV feeder system, including cable, related equipment, and standalone SCADA system, installation of new support structures, as well as removal and disposal of the existing cable and related switch gear across the eastbound bridge or the south bridge. It also includes the insertion and interconnectivity of a remotely controllable ring medium voltage at the switch gear at substations across the westbound or the north bridge, and these with components also on the eastbound bridge. And this ring system will result in a single resilient power system for both bridges. The budget for this contract is shown there on the graphic at $39.5 million. Chimbro Corp is the contractor, and they're currently working on directional boring and conduit installation of hand boxes, and installing the messenger cable on the bridge for the eventual 5 kV installation. The next project, BB 3002, Bay Bridge Priority Repairs and Miscellaneous Modifications. This project involves structural steel repairs, concrete repairs, and miscellaneous other repairs on both bridges of the westbound spans, or excuse me, on both bridges. The existing budget for this contract is $23.6 million. Marksman is the contractor, and we have currently paid 96.65% of the contract budget to date. We are planning to issue a supplemental agreement to this contract to allow for overrunning of the existing pay items and also to add 18 months of time to the contract and $4 million to implement existing planned tasks that were not able to be completed due to the rejection of all bids on the contract BB 3013, which is also on your list for a planned re-advertisement. Okay, the next contract is FT 2651R. This is the replacement, or excuse me, the rehabilitation of the vent fans at the Fort McHenry Tunnel. This includes rehabilitating the original 48 vent fans that are critical to the tunnel operation and smoke management to upgrade the system to be able to handle a 100 megawatt fire. Chimbro Corp, who is the current contractor on the BHT fan contract, is the awarded vendor on this project as well. The NTP has been issued on this contract, but we anticipate the completion in April of 2024. The contractor has completed all preliminary testing and inspection of the 48 vent fans. And starting in October, there will be 8 fans that will be put out of service so that they can commence the work and begin. That will include 1 exhaust and 1 blower fan per bore of the tunnel. The next project is the KH 3038 Exelon mitigation site. This is off-site mitigation of stream and wetlands to get the mitigation credits necessary for the I-95 ETL extension program, which has more mitigation needs in the program than are possible to mitigate within existing MDTA right-of-way. This contract was approved at the Maryland Board of Public Works on July 22nd, 2020 for the vendor Nextera. NTP was issued on July 30th, 2020, and site evaluation has commenced and has been completed now, and the contractor has completed their 65% design for this mitigation work. The next phase of work, what we refer to as Phase B, will be to finalize the design and to get regulatory approval and permits. Those are Nextera's responsibilities. In that contract, you may recall, we essentially are purchasing the credits and they have the responsibilities to advance the design. The next contract, MB 3003, the Nice Middleton Bridge campus improvements. This is to provide a new administration building, police, and maintenance facilities in conjunction with the new Nice Middleton Bridge replacement. Notice to proceed was issued on this contract August 28th of 2020.
We are currently reviewing submittals from the contractor. The contractor is in the process of installing their field office and installing E&S controls and has performed preliminary stakeout of the project site. The next project is KH 3022. This is the replacement of the Clayton Road Bridge over I-95 in Harford County. This will make the bridge longer to accommodate the I-95 new ETL extension section that's needed for the highway. 6M is the contractor on this project. They are currently working on installing overhang forms and shielding to be able to commence their deck demolition. And they've been installing detour signing. This project will detour Clayton Road, and we anticipate that that detour will go into effect on October 5th. At that point, they'll be able to commence the demolition of the existing bridge. The next project on the list is BB 2726. This is the rehabilitation of the eastbound bridge at Bay Bridge. The existing deck was installed in the 70s and in the 80s and is showing extensive deterioration. A major rehabilitation of the bridge deck is necessary to keep the bridge safe and extend the service life. And additionally, the steel paint system on the bridge is in need of replacement. This procurement is a CMAR procurement, and technical proposals have been received and evaluated, and the evaluation team anticipates opening prices shortly, after which they will provide a recommended awardee. This project will come to the Capital Committee and Board for approval and award the CMAR contract with an anticipated start of design with the contractor. The next project, with me here, my notes are struggling, is the FT 3010 contract for the 15 kV replacement. Bids were received on June 23rd, 2020. Fresnay Inc. is the apparent low bidder. Their bid was lower than the engineer's estimate, and we plan to bring this the project for approval to the Capital Committee and Board next month in October. The NTP is currently planned for December of 2020. The next project, FT 3013, deck rehabilitation on I-95 South. This includes installing rapid setting deck overlays on several bridges on the Fort McHenry Tunnel south of the tunnel, including the ramp from 395 to southbound 95 and the ramps to and from 295 and 95. Bids were received on September 17th, 2020. The bids are currently being evaluated at this time, and NTP is planned for February of 2021. The next contract on the list is MR 3022. This is on-call structural repairs and miscellaneous modification. This is a very standard on-call contract. Although the dollar amount makes it a major project, I don't have a lot to say other than the details already presented on your slide. These are reoccurring reprocurements for us to keep up with priority inspection findings. The NTP is planned for November 2020. The next project is the Belvedere Road interchange. This project is the grant-funded project where Cecil County won the $20 million build grant. Some really good news on this project. Our planning team has successfully executed the IAPA that's necessary for the project, completed the NEPA work to get the CE document signed, also got the grant agreement signed, which has paved the way to have full federal authorization of the funds. So that's a really big deal, and hats off to Melissa Williams and Carl Chamberlain for their work to really get that NEPA work done probably faster than any project that I can recall. So really a big deal there. Additionally, we have advertised the RFQ, the request for qualifications, back in May. That is currently being evaluated at this time. Concurrent with that, we will announce a reduced candidate list, and we anticipate issuing the RFP likely in October. Concurrent with that, we're currently working on finalizing plats and performing the appraisals on the properties involved and executing agreements with third parties associated with the project. The next project, KH 3009, this is one of the big three that we have in the ETL program. This is the big three are the mainline contract from Maryland 43 to Maryland 152, the 152 interchange itself, and then the Maryland 24 interchange. This project, KH 3009, is the mainline contract between 43 and 152. It, of course, is part of the ETL northbound extension to relieve congestion on the highway and implement a number of safety improvements there and replace this project will replace 3 bridges that are older than 60 years. It was advertised on August 17th of 2020. A virtual kickoff meeting was held with bidders on September 1st, and we're currently working to address the contractor questions for the project. As you can imagine, with that length of highway, this is like thousands of pages of plans and all. So it's the bid phase is a lot of work. The upcoming work is we just actually yesterday completed the pre-bid meeting for the project. Bid opening is currently planned for November of 2020, and we anticipate issuing notice to proceed in April of 2021. The next project is another one of the on-calls, MR 3023. Again, not a lot to say here. This project was advertised in June. I think it's actually already been to the committee and board meetings, and we anticipate issuing the NTP in December of this year. The next project is the replacement of the Abingdon Road Bridge over I-95 in Harford County. This is, again, part of the I-95 Express Toll Lane northbound extension project, and this is bridge replacement is necessary to accommodate the wider highway for the express toll lanes. The project was advertised on September 10th. Very similar project to the prior overpass replacements like Bradshaw Road, Old Joppa Road, etc., except that because of the proximity of this bridge to the local firehouse, we're not able to leverage a detour, and we have to maintain traffic. So it'll be a signalized, we'll install a temporary signal to maintain 1 lane of traffic across the bridge through construction. The virtual pre-bid meeting is scheduled actually for tomorrow, and we anticipate the bid opening for this project in November. The next project on the list is the FT 3009 fatigue retrofits contract. This is implementing superstructure steel repairs, including installing steel retrofits to address fatigue cracking on 19 of the box girders on the FMT facility. This project advertised on September 1st of 2020. Bids currently are due at the end of October, and the NTP is planned for April of 2021. The next contract, BB 3014, is the emergency procurement for the AET conversion on the Western Shore. This project will reconfigure the Bay Bridge Toll Plaza to support the recently completed AET conversion, essentially finalizing the highway configuration to make it fully high speed through that corridor. And it also includes the installation of the automated lane closure system for the crossover on the Western Shore side. The project will remove the remaining toll islands, the actual curbing that's still in place, and will allow us to be able to automate those contraflow operations. Since the last major projects reporting, we initially had planned to do a traditional procurement for this project, but the previous completion date with a conventional bidding process was anticipated to be spring of 2023. We've received a lot of feedback about this project and the need to expedite it to deal with safety issues that are being encountered on the side roads. And we've looked at the traffic, and given, although COVID in many scenarios has resulted in lower volumes, one of the things that we've observed at the Bay Bridge is historically our travel patterns go from, Thursday to Monday, where some people might have a long weekend or want to leave early and stay late like we ask them to. But with COVID, people are, I guess, using virtual working and going to the beach on different days than they normally would. And so a lot of the traffic issues that we normally would see on a Thursday through Monday are now going through every day of the week. And we've gotten a lot of feedback about that from the community. And so the local community is having issues and concerns that they've expressed about emergency response along the side roads due to congestion that occurs both from those new travel patterns from COVID and just the historical reoccurring congestion. So this project will, it's not going to address the systemic issue at the Bay Bridge of capacity limitations that we have at the bridge that ultimately is the real source of traffic problems there. But it will help us to improve our traffic operations and limit how many hours the local community is experiencing this kind of problem. And so we have converted this to an emergency procurement and have the approval on that, and actually have the pre-bid meeting planned today. As we advance through the emergency procurement process, we will continue to provide the board with updates, and this project will also go to the Maryland Board of Public Works for approval due to the emergency procurement status. Some other essential safety things that are relevant related to the emergency is that this is a major enhancement for motorist safety by improving traffic operations. Whenever we get an improvement in traffic operations, we see incidents reduce. With congestion comes incidents. So hopefully the launch of this system, the automated lane closure system, will help with that. And also it'll take our workers, which recently with the expedited conversion to all electronic tolling at the facility, the contraflow operation that before was installed downstream of the toll plaza in lower speeds is now being installed under high-speed highway lanes. So we want to get our workers out of that condition. And so for all those reasons that I noted, there's a lot of safety implications that come with the gates. We need to bring this to bear sooner. And so we've implemented an emergency procurement to compress the procurement schedule, thereby expediting the ability to deliver this project sooner. One final note is that this work, the originally planned schedule, conflicted with some of the planned upcoming work that I noted in the Bay Bridge eastbound deck project. And so we want to make sure that as much of this work is done ahead of time to clear the way so that that project may commence. Mouthful there. Pardon me, I jumped ahead of my notes by accident here. Okay, the next project, the BB 3013 contract. Again, this is the on-call contract that I referred to earlier that all bids were rejected on, and we currently have a plan to re-advertise this contract in December of 2020 and have an anticipated notice to proceed of May of 2021. Similarly, a reoccurring on-call that we have is the on-call for our building facilities again, that's to perform repairs to priority findings. The HVAC shuts out and you can't fix it. These are types of contracts that will help to take care of those kinds of issues. That's planned to advertise in November, and we'll have an anticipated NTP of March of next year. The next contract is HT 2709. This is for the envelope and switchgear replacement at the Baltimore Harbor Tunnel Vent Building. The switchgear is the original electrical system for the tunnel. It's 65 years old, and it's time to do an upgrade on that. And so this project is currently planned to advertise in January of 2021 with an NTP in July of 2021. And finally, the Fort McHenry Tunnel AET conversion. Of course, the governor announced the permanent installation of all electronic tolling at all MDTA facilities. This contract involves doing a conversion like what we've done at the Key Bridge and is ongoing at Hatem and Bay Bridge, where it'll demo the toll plaza and allow for high-speed all electronic tolling through the facility. The add date is planned for December 7th of 2020 for a planned NTP of May of 2021. PS&E documents are now complete, and we anticipate submitting the contract documents to procurement to process this month. So with that, I am delighted to take a little break and open it up to any questions that you may have on the 31 projects in our major programs.
Wow. Thank you, Will. That was quite a list. I know you probably need a glass of water and a couple breaths. So as they formulate their questions, do we have any questions for Mr. Pines?
Mr. Chairman, this is Member Von Paris. I just have a quick comment on this. I guess, it's an extensive list, but this major projects update, I find it to be very informative and very helpful as we do our, even helps us do a better job in our roles as board members of MDTA. And I thank you, Will. Great job with this. A lot of material there. You did a good job. You got through it. So thank you.
No problem.
Yeah.
I got a comment as well. Great job, Will. I mean, I just wonder if we need to put him through this marathon every month. Maybe we pick a top 10 or a top 12, 10, top 15 and go through them. Or, I mean, it doesn't change that much from one month to the next either. Just to lighten the load a little bit on Will. And I think we probably tune out just a little bit some of these ones too. So that's just my thought.
So might I suggest, because actually the board members were the ones that really wanted us to do this, as far as the major projects list. And you can see it's quite extensive, and thank goodness we have Will Pines. But why don't we? It is, but why don't we potentially have the board members work with Natalie on the ones that you want to hear updates on, and that would do what you're saying, Member Gaines, and kind of lighten the load on Will and quite frankly the board members. But it'll also keep you up to date on the ones that you feel are most important at this time.
Yeah,
good idea, Jim.
Yeah, maybe Will, maybe there could be something like if there's any significant change, maybe the board members have a list, and then if there are significant changes of note, maybe throw that
something to the front page of the Sun Papers or something.
Yeah.
So just to be clear, the reason that I'm presenting on this list is that I believe, and Kim, please correct me if I'm wrong here, but it's my understanding that the board operating procedure specifically identifies the $10 million threshold. So that's why we've been presenting this larger list.
Yeah, but we did that. We set that up just 6 months ago, so we can change it to
okay.
We can make it bigger jobs or.
Okay.
That is correct. And we all said that we would try this for a little while and see how it works. And if we want to make changes, we can make changes to the policy. And I'm sure Kim can help us along that way.
That's
right. Great discussion.
Any
further questions for Mr. Pines? Thanks again, Will. Go catch a breath, put some oxygen on, get a glass of water. We do appreciate it. The next item up on the agenda is an audit committee update from Member Cox. So Member Cox, you're on.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. We met on September 10th by phone conference, and the Office of Audits has 13 audits originally scheduled in the fiscal year FY 2021 audit plan. Due to the staffing and pandemic issues that occurred subsequent to the FY 2021 audit plan creation, 2 audits have been canceled, 2 audits have been combined, and 1 audit has been added. The committee members expressed concern about the effect of critical audit staff vacancies that have not been filled due to the statewide hiring freeze. 1 internal audit report was presented, the promotional activities audit. The committee was satisfied with the results of the audit and was approved. Bottom line is that we're concerned about staffing, and that's the bottom line, the expression of the committee to the staff, and they know it. We've had a vacancy in the number 2 position, I'd say around 9 months. And so obviously we need to staff up, and probably December's meeting, we will get a full report from the outside auditors as well as the internal auditors. Okay.
Sorry about that. Couldn't find the unmute button. Any questions for Member Cox?
Member Cox, just one question. In lieu of the staffing, I understand we're in a freeze. I don't know if we're able to hire contractors for this purpose to make sure that our audits proceed as planned.
Very true. Very true, Member Rose.
Okay. Obviously something that Jim and the team can look into. Great suggestion. Any further questions for Member Cox?
Yeah, we do use, just for the record, we do use contractors right now. The reason that we'd rather hire employees, because we could actually save money by hiring an employee instead of using a contractor, which costs us more. So that's where we are.
Thank you, sir. With that said, Mr. Ports, you might as well stay on camera because I believe you are our final topic of the day.
That's exactly why I'm staying on, Sean.
I had a feeling that's you had 2 reasons for your answer.
That's correct. That's correct. So for the record, Jim Ports, Executive Director, MDTA. So on Saturday, this past Saturday, September 19th, the MDTA hosted its first all virtual Getting Your Foot in the Door. As the board knows, these forums hosted by MDTA's Division of Civil Rights and Fair Practices are typically held quarterly. But this year with the COVID issue, this is our first one this year, along with it being virtual. The goal of the MDTA's Getting Your Foot in the Door event is to inform as many small and minority, women-owned and veteran-owned businesses to participate in the state of Maryland's Minority Business Enterprise and Disadvantaged Business Enterprise programs, as well as the Small Business Reserve and the Veteran-Owned Small Business, and which we refer to as VSBE programs, and of course the numerous procurement opportunities that we have available for businesses. I, along with Donna DeSerbo, our Director of Procurement, Will Pines, Director of Office of Engineering and Construction, along with some others, participated in the live stream. And I'll go a little off script here. We had a young lady, or Pamela Perez, who was actually running that meeting that day. And believe it or not, she was in the new employee orientation yesterday that we hosted. So even our newest employees are coming in and picking up the slack right away. So we're hiring some good people, and I just wanted to give a shout out to her. Will Pines presented specifically on a nice Middleton Bridge project. There were 86 participants registered for the event via Eventbrite. However, we're not sure the exact amount of people who actually participated because we weren't able to get that information. And we strive to hold getting your foot in the door events quarterly, as I mentioned, but we're proud of them. MDTA is eager to engage all companies who would like to discuss business with the agency and other transportation business units and the state of Maryland, as we're always looking to increase public participation. For example, this time around, we emailed all senators and delegates with the information about the event and asked them to share it with their constituents because, of course, we always get feedback from them, and we're asking them to be part of the solution. I wanted to commend MDTA's Division of Civil Rights and Fair Practices for success with our first virtual Getting Your Foot in the Door event. And it's a great example of innovative thinking for continuing customer service during our COVID-19 working environment. I also mentioned that the Lieutenant Governor has asked us to look into more opportunities for the Nice Bridge. Will Pines kind of mentioned some of those opportunities we'll be looking into in the very near future, probably in the beginning of October, where the Lieutenant Governor and some other elected officials want to participate. I also want to mention that a few weeks back, and I think I've spoken to a few members about this, we started mailing out what we're calling the courtesy letters. Chairman Slater asked us to do that to all people who have been video tolling since we transitioned to all electronic tolling on March 17th in response to COVID pandemic. To assist and provide some financial relief to our customers, the MDTA paused the processing and mailing of notices of toll due, which we call the NOTDs, and temporarily adjusted the video toll rate down to the cash rate at toll facilities that were anticipating cash on this date. We wanted to reach out and provide customers with an opportunity to proactively pay for tolls currently listed in the toll system for their vehicles for trips made on or before June 30th, before we resume mailing the NOTDs. We anticipate resuming the mailing NOTDs at the cash rate in mid-October, and it should be noted that a date for the return to the standard toll rate will occur in the next coming months. I also will say that the press release went out this morning during this meeting around 10 o'clock. I think it was 10:08, informing folks about some of these changes. Also effective November 1st, the standard 45-day plan cycles are set to resume. Easy Pass Maryland discount plans, commonly referred to as our commuter plans, at the Nice, Middleton Bridge and throughout the Baltimore region, pretty much including all of our facilities. And the 90-day plan cycle will resume for the Bay Bridge Shoppers Plan. So what I mean by that is, as you know, if you're a commuter or let's just say a frequent user of the facilities, you don't necessarily have to be a commuter, you have 45 days and it's a use it or lose it system. We paused that during COVID, waived that 45-day requirement and allowed them to go longer for people who may have been teleworking or may have been laid off. And we're informing the customers that we are going to go back to the 45-day requirement beginning November 1st. Hopefully they will, and we're going to encourage them to change their plan if they're no longer commuting or no longer an active user, and change it to the regular Easy Pass toll rate. So we're trying to help the customers along that way, but we'll see how effective that works in the next couple of weeks. I'm also proud to announce that Governor Hogan issued a proclamation designating September 30th as State Employee Appreciation Day. Maryland is joining with other states across the nation during the week of September 28th through October 2nd to extend appreciation and gratitude to all state employees for their hard work and continued dedication and commitment to excellence. And I will say that MDTA's employees continue to demonstrate the leadership and exemplary customer service during this challenging time. We are not only to let teleworking prevent us from recognizing all the MDTA employees, we need to be a little more creative in the ways we show that. But I will say that as you all know, being a 24/7 operation, our employees never stopped. And we're very proud of the work they've been performing for our customers. Lastly, I want to remind everyone that next month's board meeting will actually be live streamed in accordance with statute. Natalie Henson has been leading our presentation, our preparation for the live streaming. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to Natalie. Natalie, our communications team, specifically Eric and Tim, also along with our IT division, are the forces behind this effort, which had to be developed from the ground up and is due to our collaboration and technical expertise that we'll be able to live stream next month. And I want to offer our sincerest thanks and appreciation to all of them. They all work behind the scenes, but it's a lot of work to make this happen. And I'm glad to see that today the trial run seemed to go extremely well. Seemed like everybody was able to get on camera as well as voice. And so I think hopefully we'll do very well next month. And with that, I'll end it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Jim. Great report as always. Before we wrap up, Natalie, I just wanted to circle back and verify that we had no members of the public to speak. Is that signed up to speak? Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you. Well, as we close out today, I want to thank Natalie for this. I guess we kind of a little bit of a trial run today. I think everything went fairly well. Of course, Natalie keeps everybody on their toes and makes sure we do what we're supposed to do for these meetings. So we really appreciate all her work and the work of the entire team at MDTA. So with that said, I will entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Okay, Member Gaines, do I have a second? Second by Member Von Paris. The only reason Member Gaines got it is because he's dead in the middle of my screen. So he's the center square today on my camera.
All right.
Okay, we have a motion by Member Gaines, a second by Member Von Paris. Any opposed to adjourning the meeting? Fantastic. Madam Secretary, the meeting is now closed at 10:44. Thank you very much.
Member Von Paris gets the Best Rest Award.
Yes.
Good.
As always.
I like the paneling on Member Gangeni's office. It's fantastic.
Have a good day,
Take care, everybody. See you.
Bye, everybody.
Member Enzer, you can tap the screen and hit the red button with the telephone in it. Tap your screen. There you go.